Hey there, and welcome to the Highway to the Zemus Zone 5. This is a Red Moon waxing matchup. We've got Klopfer against Wewbear. My name is Sheep Launcher. I'm here with Rybon, and Rybon, this should be a really fun race tonight. Klopfer and Wewbear, both really talented runners, both made it very far in the Adamant Cup into brackets before losing to Morpheus. What are you looking for in tonight's matchup?
I'm looking at this as like a what-if match. Let's say that, Klopfer got past Possum in the round of 32, ended up meeting up with Wewbear in the round of 8. Who would have actually won that tournament match? And we're going to find that out tonight. Wewbear did play a play-in race game, had to defeat a Kobani in order to get to this stage. So he's already battle-tested, already had the win underneath his belt. This is our first time seeing Klopfer play a Red Moon seed here on stream. So I'm very interested to see the openings from both of these players, whether one favors, say, picking up the characters first versus getting some checks done first, because we have an Edge start, and Edge is one of the most versatile heroes that we can start with in the Red Moon.
Yeah, Edge does start with his standard starting equipment, so 2 short swords can make pretty good mincemeat out of the entire overworld. So we'll see if both runners want to have their foot to the floor. I do want to thank our tracker Jbrun TR and our restreamer Smapedy for bringing us this. Looking at the objectives, remember you have to defeat 7 of 8 bosses, and we have a whole murderer's row of bosses, including Evil Wall and the D-Lunars.
Mm-hmm. So normally, these are all bosses you want to see early game. You don't want to see them late game, where the challenge really ramps up quite a bit. But one of the things I tend to look for when I start a Red Moon seed is how many sparkles do I have to look out for? Or do I have to look out for a sparkle? In this case, we do with the Z-Lunar there. And another question I normally have is, am I looking for a Ruby sprite? Tonight, we're not. There's no elements, no Ruby on our required bosses. So, for the most part, we're only looking for a sparkle, and otherwise all the rest of the bosses will be pretty apparent when we see them, with the exception of potentially that alt gauntlet.
Yeah, as long as you remember what color the Odin sprite is, so you don't confuse the real King of Baron with King Eblin.
Yeah, just a little bit of a sprite recolor right there, but, as long as you're not, colorblind, it shouldn't be too difficult, I guess.
Yeah, Wewbear is the favorite in this matchup, but Klopfer certainly no slouch. It should be a really exciting match. We're looking forward to a close one. We're underway, and we're glad to have you with us.
Mm-hmm. So we have a starting Edge with a Kane partner, pretty good melee Zerker. We find a Yang here in the starting Baigen spot, so not a character we need, and we're not very happy to find a pack of Samurai arrows to begin with. So that's a Womp right there. We know that potentially, Moon or Summon spots have to have something, because we're not going to find a Womp on Kane main otherwise.
Yeah, Sammy arrows, not bad, but definitely not what you want to see there. And especially since our first 2 characters, who I think our runners were hoping for a quick start with these 2 bruisers, neither of them can even use those arrows.
Not at all. But here's a very interesting situation. Both of them beelining straight to Eblin, which is a pretty good play because, you're looking for a better weapon for Edge. You have 2 starting short swords, that's okay. But you can do a lot better than that. And we can find it here in Eblin. The same thing with Kane. Find an early White Spear, which could be lying in a treasure chest untrapped around here. And you have a pretty good item to use early game to cast Holy, or that Blizzard Spear right there to deal with, maybe an early Ruby or something like that. I think Klopfer has maybe found exactly what he's looking for, and hopefully doesn't hit a trap chest on the way out. Not checking that last chest, he's happy.
Yeah, a pretty good pickup for Klopfer. Taking that Blizzard Spear, also taking a lot of money items, a lot of really expensive armory, like that Crystal Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm. Also find a Shuriken, a black belt. The Shuriken great for getting you through, say, Eblin Cave in a single attack. The black belt, already have one on the Edge, but pretty much the second best piece of equipment we could put on Kane for his body right now. So if you're going Zerkers, we're pretty happy with what we found. And as you mentioned, yeah, lots of money, lots of things we can sell. a lot of people will head to Mysidia off the bat on Red Moon and sometimes on Blue Moon too. But it's always nice to have something that you can sell on the way to Mysidia so that in case you find cabin there, because we don't start with any type of camping equipment on this flag set. You'd like to have some money to actually buy it so you don't have to return.
Yeah, and the camping gear is so rare and so valuable, so it's nice to be able to pick that up whenever you get the chance.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, at the end, our Klopfer's Cane is going to have Samurai Gauntlets, Blizzard Spear, Black Belt, Dragoon Shield. That's pretty close to being decently enough equipped for endgame, or at least mid-game. We'll see, however, because going to Hobbs is an interesting choice here. About 1200, 1300 HP at this location. Dark Knight Cecil, we don't need him. Resetting out. Other spots I would normally expect, out of an edge start, maybe like a Mist Cave check, but not a Waterfall check because that spot's just a little too fast for us right now.
Yeah, very true. Klopfer figured he has the personnel and the equipment to take care of whatever is on Hobbs if it's necessary, which it is not. Remember, there are no earned characters on either Red Moon or Blue Moon, so there's no character opportunity waiting on Hobbs. It's just the opportunity to fight a boss, and Dark Knight Cecil is up on that mountain doing some meditation. He could just stay there.
Mm-hmm. So it looks like Wewbear is going to exit Eblin about a minute after Klopfer did. We find the CPU down here in Eblin Cave, which isn't required, but if you're going to fight CPU, this is about as good a spot to find him as any. Only about 800 HP, 900 or 840 HP on that main unit back there in the back, so a relatively quick fight compared to finding him at, say, 65k HP up there at Elements or in the Ribbon Room.
Yeah, CPU can be super slow at a bad spot, and that's because in the Red Moon flag set, the back row glitch is not on. So the only way that your characters are going to do full damage from the back row is if they have an actual back row weapon equipped. And CPU, the main orb, the one with all the HP, is in the back row. So in the wrong spot, CPU, very annoying. Klopfer threw it easily and picks up a package.
Very nice package on Klopfer's side. That is a boss check that could be pivotal. On Wewbear's side, we did check the Mist Cave. We saw a water hag there, so we know if we see another blue rope, that is our alt gauntlet. And finding a Sid here in the watery pass, a pretty good anchor. I don't believe we have any weapons for him though. So right now he's a big pile of HP, and that's about it.
Yeah, so far it's just bros being bros and walking around saving the world. A couple of big bruisers.
Yeah. I normally expect to see, people on this flag set to tilt a bit toward mages because with T-Pro on and back row glitch off, it's not very well tailored toward berserkers. There's our evil wall right now. I wouldn't suggest fighting at the moment, but it's good to know it's there. But you may not have a choice but to go berserkers on this flag sets if that is all the game gives you.
Klopfer going to defend Fabul and encountering the Dark Imps, but yeah, Wewbear is going to leave the evil wall in the waterfall for now. The waterfall, deceptively fast boss spot, the fastest boss on the overworld, and that evil wall will take a lot of turns and bear down on you in a hurry.
So definitely worth saving until you have to do it. That could be before the hook route. That could be even late game. It's just good to know that boss is there and, maybe come back when you can one-shot it. It'll save a whole lot of time that way. However, we did find a Tella up there in Damasian, so now we may be on the lookout for a Darkness Crystal. A Darkness Crystal would be huge, enable something like a D-Machine grind or a Mac Giant grind, heaven forbid, but would enable you to get to a very high level very quickly should we find that early Darkness Crystal before the hook route.
The King of Fabul doing his best Sheila impression, giving the pan over on Klopfer's side.
Yeah, it's so the Fabul single dip was not to happen tonight. So if you're going to find it, it's better to find it now rather than later, so you don't have to walk that Sylph Cave twice.
Yes, it is good to walk the Sylph Cave only once. It's much better than the vanilla pan location, which is just super annoying.
So Klopfer in this case, and Wewbear if he does Fabul, our runners will be incentivized to potentially dive that hook route sooner rather than later. Say we go do ordeals, we find the hook, maybe you fade the Baron in, or you fade any other check that you may happen to find along the way, because you have something pulling you underground, that pan right there. Depends on how, risky our runners are feeling, but normally when you don't have anything, if you don't have a tower key, for example, pulling you underground, and you don't have a pan, you may be more incentivized to full clear the overworld, looking for one of those items to give you some kind of direction when you do get underground.
Well, Klopfer is being pulled in the direction of ordeals because he wants a full complement of spells on that Tela, just in case a darkness crystal comes up quickly.
Hey, we got an anchor. I love anchor. Theridia, welcome to the team. We may not need you right now, but we may need you later. But she's also a fantastic slingshot target, and we do have that Tela.
That is true. The operation get ready to nuke in one fight could be go.
Mm-hmm. Well, notably, I guess Klopfer doesn't have that Tela, but will eventually. I have to go do Damascene, of course. We have a Sparkle up here. Could this be the D-Lunars we need? Could this be the first boss we get killed tonight?
It's a 1 in 5 chance. Instead, it's just the palest of dims.
Pale Dim, sing me the song of your people.
So, Pale Dim uses a clock to count down, and my theory is that Pale Dim uses this to try and get more time in the tanning bed, because he needs it.
Now, there's an interesting thing going on right here. Klopfer is not killing... Never mind. There goes Rydia. Bye, Rydia. Take a nap. So, I spoke too soon. We're going to use Rydia as an anchor on Klopfer's side at the very least, going forward. Definitely believe it is a good play right now, because when we go down that hook route, we do not know if we're going to find, say, a Knazo at the Rubicon spot. And if you do, you are going to want your other players to be RA1. Rather, you're going to want to be slow anchor for that fight, and Rydia does it better than anybody else. Oh, we got double sparkled up here, but that, again, is not a D-Lunar.
Whittling down the sparkles very quickly, but yeah, Ogopogo is the boss in the back attack, and with basically 2 functional characters, it's super annoying even if Edge is in the mood for sushi.
He can slice, he can dice, but that Ogopogo is actually a little punchy here.
And has
to the front row.
Yeah, has to get up into the front row. Remember, rows matter in this one. Mm-hmm. And Edge's sword's still short.
Yep, still short, still chugging away. About 400 damage a swing, though. Only about 3,200 HP in this location. Kane's helping as well with about 300, 400 HP as well. Is Ogopogo not long for the world? The question is, will Kane survive to get the XP?
Will Kane be betrayed by his lack of HP?
He will not. He is well served by his 384 HP. That is a dead Ogopogo. And yeah, Klopfer is probably feeling pretty good right now, getting through this ordeal very quickly. We'll be done with it in about 12 minutes or less. And one thing to note, Klopfer doesn't know that Tela exists just yet.
Yeah, that is true.
If he doesn't find, what he's looking for here, maybe he doesn't find a boss he needs or a key item he needs, he may be incentivized to reset out here, because otherwise that's a long cutscene.
That would be a very... I mean, Klopfer still has 4 character checks to go, so that would be a very interesting play.
Yeah, it'd be a very risky play. Good for him, though, that he's choosing to take this Octomam. Again, we only found an elixir up here. That's elixir number 3 for Klopfer, and will be elixir number 3 for Wewbear. Fantastic items. We did start with 2 in the not demi kit, but Octomam, not what we're looking for. So again, we continue to remain at just 2 key items for both of our players, and only 1 known boss location with none killed.
Yeah, and only 1 more spot on the overworld to check for both of our runners that contains a key item.
Mm-hmm. All roads lead through Baron Inn.
Yeah, you got to go through Baron Inn. You know, if you're out on the road, you need to stop in for some refreshment. You need to know whether Todd smells. Baron Inn is the place, and also it's going to get you your progression.
Mm-hmm. Now,
although with any luck, it could, get us there through another means, maybe through a harp means.
Sure, a harp, a Baron key, say an Earth crystal, maybe all three. I'm here for the extended overworld chain.
Yeah, the Earth crystal is a really interesting key item in these flag sets. I've heard some runners say it's an instant check for them wherever they find it. The Earth crystal is 2 boss checks and a key item. It's just really valuable in this flag set.
Mm-hmm. So we finally get to see our final character. We have a Palom, great slingshot target, along with that Rydia. I think we're incentivized to go mages here. And Edward, we're a little less incentivized to go in that direction. But notably, what are we missing from our 7 characters tonight?
Well, besides Cecil and Fu, we're missing a white mage at all.
Yep. That's a big one. Our only source of Cure 4 or, say, casting Berserk or anything is that Tella. So if you want to make him your anchor, which many people do, you may want to think twice about that. Or maybe find some Bacchus wines, either by stealing them or buying them, if you're planning to go Berserkers.
Now, with Tella in the party, are Cure 3s guaranteed to be in any shops in a standard?
I don't believe so. I think in that situation, Tella is considered a white mage. So
even though Tella is like the 4th best white mage.
He's considered a white mage. I consider him a red mage, but regardless, the game thinks what the game thinks. And yeah, he's, a little better than Porum, but not exactly as good as, Cecil, a Cure 3 item, or Rosa. So yeah, he may be the 4th best white mage, but he's considered a white mage, I believe, by the programming in the randomizer.
Klopfer prefers Sid over Edward. Notably, if you really want to go out of left field, I believe it's the Fabul item shop has Ashura for sale.
Well, you know what they say, 67% of the time, it works every time.
Yeah, and conversely, 33% of the time, it works none percent of the time.
That's right. I would not be happy to trust Rydia, especially in this situation. I would like to... If I was either one of these runners, I'm thinking Darkness Crystal. Give me a Darkness Crystal. I'm going to go get 2 nukes. I'm going to roll through the seed. This is my plan right now. So I don't want Rydia to waste time casting, Ashura, when she could be casting nuke instead.
Definitely. And that Rydia and Palom could make a fearsome team. Klopfer is going to leave the Sage for last. Klopfer doesn't know it, but the Tella is going to be his last character check.
Mm-hmm.
And whether he likes it or not, he'll have a party.
Yep. You cannot fade that Tella as much as you'd like to. You have to launch that hovercraft because 4th hook is on, and that hook probably waiting in Baron Inn.
Both Klopfer and Wewbear did pick up a Gungnir Spear for that cane, so they should have some firepower to attack the hook route, but the team might need a little augmenting before they feel fully confident.
Yeah, absolutely. Big question here, I think, is do you bother taking the Eblin trap chest, not for the key item or for the, not key item, it's the key trap even on, but not for the items per se, but do you consider taking some bold traps just to get that kid Quake before you go down that hook route?
Yeah, Quake on Palom would be very useful indeed.
Now, Klopfer checking the waterfall, going to find his evil wall. Wonder if he'll take it immediately or reset out.
Yeah, Klopfer has his party did replace that Rydia with the Tella, so would rather have Sid maybe for anchor purposes than that Rydia. If he changes his mind, however, both Rydia and Edward are waiting in the Tower of Wishes.
Yeah, I'm very happy to see, Rydia waiting in the Tower of Wishes for the time being. she's a pain to continually knock down, and at least on these overworld checks, she stands right back up pretty often behind after Fabul, after ordeals, after Baron in. I'm like, can't you just stay down, kid? And she just keeps on getting back up. But it's perfectly fine to leave her in the Tower of Wishes for the time being, I believe. And whenever you find that darkness, she is ready to go. 16 machines with the life glitch, and she is a fully functional, ready to contribute member of the party. And there goes our first boss tonight at Evil Wall for Klopfer.
Oh, and a Murasame. That's huge.
Yeah, if you are going to kill the boss here at Watery Path, checking these 4 chests behind them, usually worth your time. A second elixir. The only downfall is that you cannot cast exit to get out of here. You do have to walk out.
Bahamut in the first spot, not going to get to count really at all, which is bad news for our children's education, but good news for our interest in getting through the sea quickly.
Mm-hmm. There could be something nasty here at the second spot. Edge is fast anchor though, so whoever is here is going to be moving very quickly or very slowly. And, well, that's the doctor.
Yeah, who usually likes to talk. And Wewbear is going to try and cut him off there.
So what do you think? Did Dr. Luque actually get, like, say, an MD, or did he get a PhD in something like political science?
He does have the posture of a political science PhD, but I think his engineering skills are too great for that. I think he... so, you know, maybe he's a dentist.
A dentist?
Yeah, he has a talent for causing things pain.
True. Yeah, I normally don't like to see him, and I don't like to go to the dentist either, so it makes sense to me. Still, though, we gotta take this fight, because our hook is here. That's our underground access. The only way that... The only way that, you know, you don't have to immediately go underground is there's the cheeky demon someplace out there, like Zatwan, holding a darkness crystal or something that leads to a darkness crystal. But I doubt either one of our runners tonight will be heading in that direction. Both will probably be heading down this hook route. The question is, what do we do before that hook route? Do we do Eblin? Do we do trap chests on the hook route itself? Do we go up Ordeal and pop those sirens for more levels, maybe try to get Virus or Quake on that Palom? Or do we just feel like we have enough power already? We don't need to go do anything else.
Is the package worth checking at this point?
It's a good question. I would normally say no, because all it can really... It could result in a Demus, that's true. Demus is still outstanding, does have a key item, because here on Red Moon, free item is not on. So Bedward is just taking a nap, doesn't have anything for us. But it just seems so unlikely. It's about a 2-minute check to go through all those cutscenes before you see the boss. But it's a very cheeky check. If you are feeling like a gambler, that could be a check you make tonight.
Yeah, and there is about a little less than a 1 in 4 chance that one of your 8 bosses that is required is in that package check. But you have to figure that, you know, any package check is going to be so unlikely that your opponent is probably not going to make that check either. So you can feel relatively secure that, you know, if you pass up that check, your opponent will as well.
Yep, but if they don't, let's say you have a very early cheeky package check, it pays off. That is a huge advantage for you compared to your opponent. I've seen it decide a few races this season, this tournament season thus far, but it doesn't look like we're going to see it tonight. Both of our runners moving that hovercraft, they're pretty much neck for neck right now. Klopfer is deciding to do the remainder of Eblin, so is Wewbear. So we have pretty much a foot race between these two. Both have completed just about everything that the other runner has done on this overworld.
Are thinking alike. Both are going to head into Eblin to take on at least a couple of trap chests.
Now we do have a little bit of difference in party composition. I believe Wewbear has held on to that Rydia, whereas Klopfer has decided to send Rydia to the Tower of Wishes. So that's a little bit of deviation we have for the time being. Remains to be seen. Oh,
both runners have put Tella in the middle for agility purposes and for spell accuracy purposes, Tella will have a much higher chance of casting stone if he could cast it straight.
Yep. Looks like Klopfer is going with the more conservative play here, deciding to cast Stop on the Staleman. All of these skulls will die immediately to edge casting Flame. But it looks like Stone paid off for Wewbear, so that's going to buy him about 20 to 30 seconds here, where Klopfer is going to have to slog through this fight a little longer. The reward is only a Silent Staff. That's okay for Tella, I suppose, if you want to try to use them with a White Mage. But the real reward here with the experience and keeping that Palom alive, potentially maybe even in slingshot type experience situations, could get him that much closer to Quake.
And Palom did learn Virus as a result of that fight on Wewbear's side. Also on Klopfer's side.
Yep, very valuable spell. I mean, Quake is great. Virus is almost as good. Notably, though, Rydia's getting levels over there on Wewbear's side. I guess Wewbear is happy to use Tella primarily as an anchor here, rather than trying to keep Rydia as an anchor, but there's some argument to keep Rydia as an anchor and let Tella be RA1 or RA2. There's always value to having a quick blink caster, especially on this hook route.
Yeah, Rydia stayed down for that Stoneman skeleton fight, but trying to raise her up for the Mad Ogres, but she's kind of doing the opposite of a Weeble Wobble in this one. She is staying down.
Yep, and back up she comes. We have Scythe coming out. Again, Klopfer with the more conservative plays here in Eblin. Going with the Stop rather than the Stone. Going with the Scythe rather than trying for an additional Stone on the Mad Ogres. Tella missing 2 times in a row over here on the Mad Ogres. Klopfer may end up with his conservative play here, taking a little bit of a lead after this trap chest and getting life glitches off too.
Yeah, the aggressive play from Wewbear looked great when Tella was hitting on Stone. Does not look great when Tella is whiffing. That is the nature of Tella life. You live by the Sage, you die by the Sage.
This is getting a little dangerous for Wewbear. 1 Mad Ogre goes down, so now 2 Mad Ogres total. Should be through this fight, but that Palom is lying down on the ground, Rydia lying down on the ground. These Black Mages not getting levels, not getting that much closer to Quake, unfortunately.
And only a Ninja Star for the treble, so the EXP really the star there, and Klopfer came out much better there.
Mm-hmm. So Klopfer getting more levels on Palom. Level 22, 1 level away from Quake. Wewbear's Palom, unfortunately, a few more levels away from Quake right now. May not actually be able to get it prior to the hook route unless he takes, say, a trap chest on the hook route itself. So maybe advantage Klopfer right now.
Yeah, it looks like Wewbear is 1 trap chest behind Klopfer. If the EXP on that kid is all you're thinking about, which at this point you don't know who the enemies on the hook route are. You want to get Palom to Quake if at all possible.
Yep, Quake is, I mean, as a wise marsupial once told me, nuke is a hell of a drug, but Quake's not too bad either. Hits multiple targets. We're both getting into this Black Cat Lamia fight relatively the same. Virus is going to be very valuable here against these Black Cats, guaranteed to pretty much one-shot them because you don't want, if you're going to go after the Black Cats, you don't want to miss.
And Wewbear, not taking any chances, will cast a blink on the kid and make sure he is remaining standing at the end of this one.
Interestingly enough, I think Klopfer is lifing up his Tella. If you were going to use Tella as an anchor, I wouldn't mind keeping him down here. The mommy is trying to agree with me right now. The old man take a nap. But, Tella doesn't gain agility too quickly, so I guess it's not too harmful to let him gain a few levels. Wewbear is through this fight a little faster than Klopfer. I don't believe we're going to see Quake on the kid, but we are going to see a Tiara, which is pretty good for Rydia, her best in slot headgear.
Wewbear immediately puts that on her head. And Klopfer, looking like he's changing who he wants to anchor, puts Sid down
Yeah, not too bad. Sid is also a fantastic anchor. That's one of the great things about this seed right here. We have 4 of the slowest characters in the game available to us, whether it's Tella, Palom, Rydia, or Sid himself. All of these are fantastic anchors. So you have your pick of the litter for the most part. Sid's only gained 3 levels since we picked him up. Hasn't gotten that fast. And this is really just kind of like a mage's life right now. This is a fantastic mage seed.
Dude. What if they just made the entire party out of anchors?
Everyone goes slow, including the boss. I like it. But one big difference we have going into this hook route, though. Klopfer's got that Quake. Wewbear does not. Only level 21 on that Palom. 2 levels to go for that Quake.
Yeah, Wewbear can get it before the bosses. There are 2 trap chests on the hook route, including one with 4 Mad Ogres. And Bacchus's for sale, along with elixirs and life potions. Really all you need in Eblin Cave. Maybe not all, but you need Bacchus's and life potions.
Yeah, Bacchus, one of my favorite items in this game. Not as valuable this particular seed, because while you do have 2 Berserkers, I think we're going to be leaning on mages more than not, but Berserkers still have a role when you're in a mage-centric party. Specifically, they do a great job of buffering, turns so that your mages can actually get spelled off much more quickly. It looks like we also found a rune axe down here. Very great item for Kane. I mean, not as good as I say in most situations as a Gungnir or a Blither Spear. Looks like Klopfer tried to buy, didn't have enough money, and couldn't justify selling anything else, but we'll probably keep it in mind because, boss number 6 down there, that Asura, and boss number 3, that Maga Sisters, we'd love to kill him, and we'd love to kill him quickly with that rune axe. Yeah,
that rune axe does some work against mage types, which both the Maga Sisters and Asura happen to be. So Asura especially can be a real problem on the hook route. So the rune axe availability will not be too far from Klopfer's mind if a rune Asura should show up.
Speaking of rude, these 2 sailmen just knocking down the party very quickly, operating at warp speed, pretty much forcing Klopfer to use that hourglass tube that I believe he found in the watery pass. So I think Wewbear was trying to fish for this trap chest, just walked right by it, so unfortunately. So Wewbear will maybe looking for the 4 Mad Ogres here in Upper Babel. Klopfer, however, will get the advantage of whatever item comes out of this trap chest.
Yeah, and it is more valuable for an item than it is for the EXP. The EXP isn't much, and the stalemate really annoying. But Klopfer does make it through with a little resources and gets a Protect Ring.
Protect Ring, great item, provides elemental resistance. Well, a great item to put on one of your mages, for example. Palom wouldn't mind it. A rune ring would be better. A crystal ring would be better. But, coming in 3rd place, nothing wrong with that. Would love a Protect Ring, especially if there is, say, like a elemental casting boss waiting here in the King Queen Eblin spot.
And Klopfer did pick up and Wewbear going to be the first down to the King Queen Eblin spot, and does not really need to worry about it. This is a free fight.
Yep, mostly free. These soldiers could be a little punchy. The spot is a little hard punching, but 1 flame, 2 flames, the soldiers go away. Officer decides to take a little vacation. So we'll be seeing that very shortly. And the big challenge down here is going to be whatever is at the 25k HP vanilla ruby spot.
And if Wewbear did not pick up Quake already, he certainly will as a result of this fight.
Sadly not. There's no experience from this fight.
No experience from this fight. Why do I always forget that? Right on. Why do I always forget that?
Wishful thinking, I guess.
It's because I want to believe that, facing down your own parents and coming to grips with their mortality gives you some kind of life experience.
It would certainly be an experience. I would agree with that. But sadly, we can't quantify it. Not in mere experience points.
And it is the elements down here in the 2nd spot. So no vanilla boss there.
No. So we have 2 ways of dealing with this particular fight. We could either just go ham, throw up the Bacchus and just go for it, or do what Wewbear is doing, which is throwing the Star Veil up there on that edge, and we're going to reflect Fire 2s and Fire 3s from Tella onto that edge in order to try to, surpass the amount of HP that Elements has. Elements has about, 12, 13k HP in each phase. They take the amount of HP in this location divided by 2 and split it up between the Ruby Mylon phase and the Knazo and Valvalis phase. But if you prevent them from countering, which you can do by not damaging them directly, you can get through this fight without them shifting to the second phase, even with only half the HP you otherwise need to.
Yeah, each element will tap in when the previous element gets hit a certain number of times, but if you never directly hit Mylon, he'll just hog the spotlight for himself. And he's weak to fire, and fire will do mean, nasty things to him.
It will. So one more Fire 2 from Palom should do it. Not having that Quake will not matter in this situation. So advantage Wewbear, he'll be through this fight slightly faster. Looks like Klopfer's going to go with the same strategy in this situation, reflecting Fire 2 than Fire 3. So we'll be slightly behind Wewbear getting underground, but that is a dead element. Crumble, here we go. And we're going to hit a pitfall around like 35 minutes in.
Really, really impressive stuff. And while both of our runners are sprinting to that pitfall, do want to thank our restreamer Smapedy for making sure that this is being shown to you tonight, as well as our tracker Jay Brunter. We're doing a terrific job with all the slimy buttons. And thanks to Rybon, the knowledgeable, verbose, loquacious commentator.
Oh, those are a lot of words, and I don't know what most of them mean, but thank you, Sheep Launcher. And thank you very much for joining me in the booth tonight. You yourself are a scholar. That's an Asura at the top of Tower. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Jay Brun as well. This is his first time tracking, and he's been doing a bang up job thus far.
Not literally a bang up job. Please don't bang the buttons. That's not an invitation to do that.
They're tough. They can take it.
Well, Wewbear sees the Ashura up there, has a decision to make. Now, Rybon, if it were me, I believe that Keyless Tower is the correct play 100% of the time. I would be going straight back up that tower.
I would not. Generally because we don't have any type of mage killing gear right now. I don't believe either one of our runners bought that rune axe, and that Asura is going to take a little while to kill. It's similar to the situation we had earlier, where we found that evil wall in the waterfall. It's good to know he's there, but killing him isn't going to do me a whole lot of good right now. I can come back later when I can do it much more efficiently. So Wewbear right now did not cash in those sirens that we started with in the Freedom Kit. Is going to use them now to get some levels on all of his characters, which could lead to a far more efficient way to get through the Asura. We also have a pan, which we're kind of incentivized to turn in as quickly as possible, because the moment we find that darkness crystal is the moment we can go do D-Machine, and the moment we can do D-Machine is the moment this seed becomes a joke.
Very true. Wewbear does have a couple of sirens from that Freedom Kit. Might as well use them now, even if you want to do a little bit of a grind later on.
Yep, the only disadvantage I see of doing these sirens here, I mean, it's great. We have Quake now. We had Quake after that Elements fight, but we now have even more level on top of it. We're getting Rydia closer to Virus, so she can be an actual productive member of the team, and we're keeping Tella down, kind of where he belongs, to be a great anchor. But the only disadvantage I see is that if we do find an early darkness, we pretty much prevented Rydia or Palom from ever being slung shot. So we're going to do about twice as many D-Machines as we otherwise want to in order to get to nuke. Klopfer, however, has kept that Rydia safe and sound, taking her sweet time, taking a nap over in the Tower of Wishes. 60 machines, and she'll be ready to go. More powerful than Palom. Maybe do a few more to get Palom to nuke, and that could be a way forward. But we still don't know where this Darkness Crystal is. Wewbear heading down the Sylph Cave to bonk that pan. Maybe he'll find it down here.
Certainly a possibility. Bonking Young with the pan has the potential for a key item. And Klopfer going to head over to Dwarf Castle.
I don't hate the play. You can get a shop check here. That's a life staff, which is only could be equipped on Rydia right now until you do Dwarf Castle or on Tella. More useful on Tella rather than Rydia. But doing this Dwarf Castle, we get to check for, hey, Sirens. That could be an alternative grind. I'm not sure if you want to do 30 right now to get Rydia to nuke, but it's an option available to you. But at the very least, it's more Sirens. So if you want to buff your Zerkers up a little more than Wewbear did with those 2 Sirens, that option is available to you. And also, it's your opportunity to get 2 boss checks out of the way and a key item check. Unfortunately, though, not 2 key item checks because Warp Glitch not on in Red Moon.
Womp womp. All Young gave us was a walking stick, a life staff, and I know some goth kids might think that life is darkness, but in this case, the life staff is not the darkness crystal. But Wewbear does have 2 chances at a key item with Sheila.
All right, our first one is a darkness crystal. Let's go do D machines. And a rock. We don't care about the rock, but the darkness crystal is amazing. Let's go do D machines. Let's go.
Yeah, Wewbear does have his marching orders. A big darkness crystal there.
That darkness crystal opens up so many options for Wewbear.
Klopfer, meanwhile, going to take the opportunity while he's in the neighborhood to clear out the 2 bosses of Dwarf Castle and seize a blue robe.
That we know because we've already seen our water hag in Mist Cave. That is a required boss. That's our alt gauntlet in the first location.
Yeah, there will be 3 blue robes dancing here, and that means that there are lots of Dwarf Castle bosses yet to come.
Mm-hmm. So each of these bosses, or each of these mobs we're going to fight here, the armadillo, the tortoises, the black lizards, and I think even the imps, they have about 500 to 800 HP each. We have our melee moving first, so we're not really going to be able to cast Quake on them to clear them out very quickly. But regardless, this shouldn't take Klopfer too long. Let's just really hope for Klopfer's sake that the second boss here isn't, say, a Wyvern, or just a boss that we have a really hard time with, because Surprise Wyvern at Dwarf 2, after you invested all the time into an alt gauntlet at Dwarf 1, can really ruin your day.
That is painful. And so demoralizing.
Yeah, never happened to me. Nope.
So Wewbear did summon the whale, but is going to go shopping first. Ethers are most likely on his list.
I agree. So if you're going to sling Rydia, it takes 6+6 deep machines, which you can do with the 2 starting elixirs that we have. But that Rydia, no longer slingable. That Palom, no longer slingable. So we're going to need some other type of MP restoration in order to turn Rydia and turn Palom into nuclear-powered weapons of mass destruction. So an Ether 2, or maybe 3, might actually help.
And Wewbear did pick up hourglasses for sale in Tamra.
And Wewbear heading down the Fey March will give us our first look at this Fey March freebie down here. I'm not sure what else we could find down here that would, open your path a little more. Maybe that Baron Key. Right now, the Baron Key is probably the most valuable key item outstanding because that does block 3 boss checks. Our initial boss at the bargain spot, not valuable, with just a karate. But the other 2, those could be required bosses, and we have a lot of them outstanding right now for the amount of boss checks we've done so far.
Yeah, a lot of the bosses hiding in places that we can't get to yet. So, Wewbear did pick up a French vanilla tail. No Ether 2s in Fey March. We'll stay down here to check to see who the bosses down here are.
Yep,
that
not
dancing
even
tiger is
taken.
way too little too late.
Yeah. Nice little dart at least, in case you need it. That could be our D-Liners. That's a 1 in 3 shot, I believe.
That's true. We haven't seen Wyvern, we haven't seen Plague.
But we are not checking, which is very interesting. I'd be very tempted if I was in Wewbear's shoes to have saved and to just peek to see if I need to do that later, or if I don't need to come back to Fey March at all.
Yeah, that would be gnawing away at me, but I don't do well with surprises.
That is a Rubicon at the second spot in Dwarf Castle. For the most part, that's free. I just hope that, we didn't sell our Blizzard Spear. And we did not. Klopfer, a much better player than me with that Blizzard Spear. This Rubicon not long for the world.
Yeah, that Blizzard Spear will target Ruby's ice weakness and one jump, and he is done.
Never sell your Blizzard Spear, folks. Sadly, though, no boss is required here in Dwarf Castle. Remains to be seen if Dwarf Castle was a waste of time or not. Maybe this key item could be something valuable. Actually, no, never mind. There was an Alt Gauntlet here. I completely forgot about that part.
I know.
It was like an hour ago.
I want to say that the Black Lizards cast Amnesia. I think that's how it works. And Wewbear is taking his party to the giant.
I smell D machines. I'm not sure if Wewbear found any other that wasn't looking at the screen, but yeah, D machines likely on the menu here.
Luca, we don't need an apple. The doctor has already gone away.
It's a nice source of money, I guess. Or you could throw in on that Riddy or the Pound to make them a little more survivable. They don't gain the most amount of HP being children and all that.
If Luca handed me an apple, I'd be like, what are you trying to tell me? I mean, I know I could stand to lose a few, but still, don't need to tell me that.
We're checking the remainder of shops here in Tamra, finding charm rods. I'd be very tempted to buy at least 2 of those. Klopfer, however, has not yet found that darkness crystal. May just be making a mental note. Charm rods, Tamra, eventually maybe Sling Rydia, pick those up. Who knows?
Yeah, those charm rods add what, 5 to your wisdom stat?
I believe it's 10. Like Lilith rods and change rods will add 5 along with the mute knife, but charm rods are twice as good.
Wewbear will check the first spot in the giant, see if there's something there that piques his interest. He says no to some flavor of Mylon.
Don't blame him on that. Looks like he found the D machine fight immediately, though, so we are on the way. Neither Palom or Rydia slingable. We may be seeing like a 10 by 10 D machine here, exhausting all of our life potions. Let's find out.
First has to get through the beamers, who I will call Frank and Shane.
Which one is which?
Frank's on top.
Okay. Well, Shane's looking pretty weak right now then.
Yeah. Shane just got caught in a tornado.
He must live in Oklahoma. And Shane is gone. Frank is like, where'd my friend go?
Yeah. Frank will have to carry on alone.
Not for long, I'm afraid. So Klopfer did see that sparkle down there in the Fey March. Let's see if he will sate our curiosity, and we'll check it before he departs Fey March. If it's a D-looter, you don't want to do it right now anyway, but the knowledge is very valuable.
And a plague might be doable for a whole chunk of EXP and a potential key item.
Yeah, it's only about 25k XP down here, but no, it doesn't hurt, and it's definitely doable, both with that cane, both with that edge ready to be zerked up and ready to go, and a decently anchored Sid. So we're about to find out. And Klopfer not yet finding his darkness crystal, which we know is behind Sheila 1, may be incentivized to do this because he's still looking for his darkness crystal.
And Wewbear has summoned his first D machine, and that one is named Daryl.
Oh, okay. Are they all
And-
named Daryl, or do they have different names?
Well, there's Daryl, and then there's his brother Daryl, and then there's
Okay.
his brother Daryl.
His parents weren't very creative.
Klopfer was not interested in that wyvern. Do not blame him. and now he's being redirected toward that pan check.
So Klopfer will be finding his darkness crystal very shortly. And Klopfer knows that if he sees another sparkle, there's a 50-50 shot. That is a required D-lunar. I think that is 2 D machines down on Wewbear's side, both with life glitches. So we're about 20% of the way there to getting ready to nuke.
You are playing a dangerous game, my friend. Doing math on stream.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe it was 3 and I was distracted.
You know, counting is it's elementary math, but it's still math.
Like, do I look like Bahamut? I can't count. At least not backwards. That's way too advanced for me.
I don't know. I grew up with the kind of music where if you say 1, 2, 3, 4, I'll say, "Come on, baby, say you love me." Klopfer leaving a save in front of the tower. Really interesting in case that Sheila doesn't pan out, but in fact is going to head up the tower first.
Yeah, leaving the save is interesting because we know a required boss is up here. Maybe Klopfer forgot what was here. But you're not going to want to reset out of that Ashura if you can handle her. You certainly can. With a Blink caster, with the ability to cast Wall on Ashura, this fight will be over eventually, but it's going to be slow. We only have, I believe, a Murasame longsword on the edge. A Mute Dagger would be far better. And Klopfer, knowing that a Rune Axe was down there in Eblin Cave, was unable to afford it at the time, and probably wishes he had it right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. The Ashura, as you said, is doable with the weapons you have. The spot isn't so fast that you can't glitch Ashura to be at her gray face all the time. So certainly doable. Might take some time, but again, if you're in the mood for metagaming, Keyless Tower is one of those things. It's not always apparent how popular it is, and if you think your opponent might not be willing to do it, it's a place where you could potentially make up some time.
Mm-hmm.
But metagaming, very dangerous. I know these runners are both super talented. I don't know how much that kind of 4-dimensional chess is really going on.
Yeah, it's hard to say right now. They didn't, again, play each other in the Adamant Cup, so they don't have a history that I'm aware of. But despite that, we have an interesting situation. Wewbear with his D-Machine grind a little earlier than Klopfer's. I assume Klopfer will be doing D-Machine shortly after this. But you know what they say, grind early, grind often. Because the earlier you have your levels, the more time you have left in the seed to take advantage of the power you receive from those levels. And Wewbear is going to have nuke, by the looks of it, maybe 10 minutes earlier than Klopfer will.
Klopfer not going to do the gray face strategy, instead going to cast Wall on Ashura, so Ashura cures Klopfer instead.
Mm-hmm. Although attacking so often, we can't really depend on that Ashura in order to keep us healthy. Hits coming out, Sid, of course, not taking that much damage, being in the back row, being a big beefcake that he is, but that Palom can't really take a hit, unfortunately.
It goes down.
Now, a small advantage to this, though, if that Palom stays down, could eventually at some point be slingshotable. Especially with Sirens for sale down here in the underground. There is a way you can manipulate the levels of your party in order to make Palom slingable alongside Rydia and shorten your D-Machine grind significantly.
Interesting. Meanwhile, I believe this is number 7 or so for Wewbear, and that was Dugan, and I was just getting to know him, and now he's gone.
Dugan? I thought they were all Daryl. What happened?
I didn't say they were all Daryl. I just said there was Daryl, and then there was Daryl's brother Daryl. Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's a Baron key from Klopfer. That's big.
That's a nice hit right there. That is the most valuable key item you could have found outside the Darkness Crystal at this location. And that is boss number 3 for Klopfer.
That is definitely worth walking out for both of those reasons.
Mm-hmm. So
And,
again,
see the sights of the tower.
Yeah, I mean, the lovely music in here. I'm a big fan of it.
Oh, the tower music is incredible.
We know the starting boss again is a karate, so that Baron key only represents 2 unique boss checks right now. Still, however, could be what we need in order to get go mode. Our go mode could be divided between Baron and the Moon, and Klopfer, if he just decides to swing that Rydia and maybe not get Pelham all the way to nuke, we'll have a quicker D-machine grind than Wewbear here.
Now, if you're doing a D-machine grind with this party, are you heading straight to the Moon with the 6 boss spot opportunities, maybe even going through the Giant for those 2 bosses?
I'd be very tempted to, so it really depends on what kind of Mylon flavor we have there at Elements. If it's Mylon Z, that's usually the easier of the 2, just because you don't have to worry about all of his friends or anything like that. And if you have 2 nuke casters in Pelham and Rydia, that's a relatively short fight, 65k HP, but if you're doing 7 to 10k per nuke, he falls pretty quickly. But there is one wrinkle here, which is, as much as I would like to go check those boss checks on the Moon and on the Giant, and maybe find my go mode up there, for both of our runners right now, Wewbear at 1 of 7 bosses, Klopfer at 3 of 7, it's just not likely to find your go mode up there. And without a pass in hand, you want to try to maximize your chances of finishing on the Moon, so you don't have to walk the LST a second time.
Very true. It's one thing to consider. There are enough bosses still hiding behind key items. The key items might be trapped by the Moon, but if you can, you want to end up on the Moon if you don't have the pass in hand.
Yep, for Klopfer at the very least, he has 4 bosses locked behind key items, behind that Earth Crystal, Twin Harp, Tower Key, and Luca Key. Could check that one so that Earth Crystal doesn't necessarily represent 2 boss checks. And that's about the threshold I think a lot of runners look at to begin to initiate into faith check mode. But yeah, I would definitely, if I was in Klopfer's shoes, I would try to maximize my checks here on Earth, maybe get the 5 bosses complete before diving the Moon and the Giant. Because with 8 checks available on the Moon and Giant, the expected value of finding bosses is about 1.9, pretty close to 2, which pretty much lines up with what you need.
Yeah, very true. And Wewbear has finished his grind. He got Rydia up to level 48, Pelham up to level 52, and he's going to take on this purple robe.
So I think Wewbear feels pretty justified in doing this. He's got nuke on that Pelham, and he's got Fire 3 on that Rydia. If this is Mylon Z, and it is, we're just a few spells away from getting through it, getting the 100k XP here. Maybe that gets Rydia to nuke as well, so that he didn't have to do an additional 1 or 2 D machines. And it gets him access to that check at Giant 2. So I like the play.
Yeah, a really nice kind of coin flip to end up on Mylon Z. Mylon and friends would have been the same kind of thought process, but Mylon Z just makes it that much less complicated.
Yep, Mylon Z is just that much faster with his weakness to spears, which does additional damage against flying enemies. And yes, he's flying. Additional damage from fire spells, which Rydia can cast. Mylon Vanilla, or Mylon with friends, doesn't take additional damage from any sources, so it's just a bit of a slog. Your best bet is to just cast nuke a whole lot of times.
My conspiracy theory is that Mylon Z isn't actually flying. You can totally see the strings.
Yeah, I kind of see that. Kind of like, going to like Phantom of the Opera in person and seeing the strings. Right. Kind of like break the immersion. Breaking the immersion as well, Odin didn't even change his outfit on the Baron throne. There he is. That's a required boss. Boss number 4 for Klopfer. Baron is paying off already. And a big question right now is, Wu heading up here, did he forget who's at the top of tower? And if he did, he's going to want to get back up there as quickly as possible, because that's not just 1 but 2 bosses. and pretty much required to do that top of tower as soon as possible.
Rybon, what did I tell you? Keyless tower, 100% of the time.
Works every time. So that is
Klopfer
Oh, go ahead.
Poses the king of Baron. Do want to welcome in the Raiders from Free Enterprise 3. Thanks for not spoiling the race that just finished over on your side. But over here, you see the differences in the bosses. Wewbear has done fewer bosses than Klopfer because Klopfer has not done his grind yet. Wewbear just finished a D-Machine grind and is looking to blaze his way through the rest of the seed, but Klopfer has done a lot of checks that are paying off in spades.
And we find a sad ruby on Klopfer's side. Probably the saddest key item we could find because it doesn't result in anything of interest, but notably on Klopfer's side, we have, count them, 1, 2, 3, 8 key items. You know, Klopfer may just be waiting for his 10th key item before heading up to do his grind up there on the Giant, and could be very rewarded rather than doing a 6+6 machine grind in order to take Rydia from 0 to hero. It may only be a 3+3, or maybe you do a 5+5 to get Palom to nuke as well.
And those precious minutes are so huge in these tournament games. Just as a reminder, the Alt Gauntlet was in the first spot in the Dwarf Castle. Ashura up at the top of tower. No tower keys been found yet. Odin was not in the basement, but on the Odin throne. Both runners also defeated Evil Wall, who was just taking a shower in the waterfall.
Mm-hmm. The Wewbear is electing here to complete the Giant. An additional 150k XP for his player that survived that fight. I believe one of the melees went down, but that solidified Rydia and Palom in their levels and their HP and their survivability going forward into the seed. But yeah, a little bit of a potential time loss if that XP doesn't pay off because that Leviathan was not required.
No, and that Leviathan did take out some of the people who would benefit from that XP, but Wewbear is through, never has to deal with the Giant again. Meanwhile, Klopfer is dealing with basement royalty. King, Queen, Eblin are becoming conscious in shame in the dark. Again, a whole bunch of XP, a potential key item.
But this is a 9th key item. This is huge for Klopfer, and it's not. Looks like Klopfer is going to keep the Sork Rope. It's very fancy.
What do you suppose the Sork Rope is made out of?
I want to say about 97% polyester and 3% spandex.
I think
like Lululemon.
I think it's made out of like maybe 5% nuke fiber.
Nuke fiber. I haven't run into that yet.
Yeah, it's what helps you cast nuke.
Oh. Well, that's true. It is one of the better robes for Palom and Rydia. Pretty much best in slot outside of, say, an adamant armor being turned on.
Which they are not in this flag.
They are not. Klopfer looks like he is done with overworld checks. Guess he's happy with 8 key items, not anticipating getting to 10, raising that whale, and we will see if he decides to pick up that Rydia and get his grind done. Wewbear, on the other hand, is heading down Dwarf Castle, getting through his alt gauntlet here, maybe slightly faster than the one done by Klopfer, just because he can very quickly cast Virus with Rydia or with Palom to get through these fights.
Yeah, one of the little things that really makes a difference on these fights is kind of turn order, where Klopfer had his melee fighters up first on the turn order for this gauntlet. Wewbear has a fully equipped black mages ready to deal damage to all of the enemies, so Wewbear will make it through faster.
Yep, Wewbear is getting through these fights in one turn every single time. That Palom is taking care of it. Whereas Klopfer probably had to take about 3 to 4 turns for each of these fights due to the melees. So, yeah, this is a time gain for Wewbear because he decided to do his grind prior to doing the remainder of his checks. And that Asura at the top of the tower, when Wewbear elects to do it, will be quicker for him as well, because 2-3 nukes and she's gone. Whereas Klopfer had to, smack that Asura around for a few minutes at the very least in order to get through that fight.
And as you were speculating, Rybond, Klopfer did go back to the Tower of Wishes, did pick up that Rydia, so it's slingshot in time.
Yep. So Klopfer's grind here will be quicker than Wewbear's was, but Wewbear clearing all of Klopfer's checks that he had already done will be quicker than what Klopfer did. The big question here is, which one is that much quicker than the other? Or will we pretty much be at equilibrium again like we were on the hook route, and going to the moon looking for our last 3 bosses in tandem with each other? Very exciting to watch. Very close race, even though that boss, count is a little different right now.
Yeah, in case you just joined us, our runners were separated by about 2 minutes on the hook route. Wewbear made it underground just after 35 minutes of game time, and Klopfer fell through the pitfall at about 37.
Yep, so it's still anybody's game. I guess the big question is, where are these last 3 bosses? And one thing that could decide this game is, if you're feeling like a gambler, we have that package, and Zot 1, the Rex banner, is still available to us. Is that something that we're interested in doing, or no?
Also worth noting that D-Mist is still out there, still at large.
Yeah, normally something I would not want to find on this flag set, but with a key item still outstanding, with Twin Harp, Earth Crystal, Tower Key, and Lucas still outstanding, I guess I'd take the fight, especially with a few nukers. Looks like we are going to get a Zot 1 check from Klopfer. Klopfer is doing everything he can to exhaust his boss checks before he commits to that grind, because he reset out of that giant after seeing that Mylon Z.
He did. Heading up to Zot 1. As a reminder, you don't need to have the Earth Crystal in hand to check out who is at the first and actually defeat the first boss location. It's only when you get to the second boss location that whoever is in the Golda spot says, hey, how about the Crystal of the Earth? You freeloader? And then you can't go further than that. But this is a boss check, and Klopfer also knows that that package is around as well.
Yeah, and with Klopfer doing all of these kind of out of the way or unconventional checks, I wouldn't be surprised if he does the package shortly after this before committing to his grind with the D machine. And if he hits here or at the package, he might hit here. This is a 50-50 shot at D-Lunars.
Either D-Lunars or it's Plague, and it's D-Lunars. Available since the beginning of the game.
This is gigantic. I do not know if Wewbear decides to do that one, before full clearing the moon. This could, if there's 2 bosses on the moon, and maybe Wewbear finds something like a Luca key or a tower key to chase that takes him away from the Tower of Zot, this could be a huge advantage for Klopfer.
What a play.
Yeah, gigantic.
And this could potentially put Klopfer in full face check mode, heading to the moon, which is where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Sadly, Wewbear taking a reset over there on that Wyvern may have not been set up, may have not gotten enough star veiled off in time to make that fight relatively easy, because it is about 40k HP of a very nasty worm. We'll probably have an easier time this time around, although does have a Valvalis in this slot. Looks like may want to jump with Kane, which is normally something you don't want to do with a Valvalis in a high HP location, but we want to get those nukes out. So we're checking this Feymarsh before doing anything else. Klopfer, however, very happy with that 5th boss intel, had the 3 boss lead right now, and let's see if he decides to gamble on the package before he does anything else.
Is that the first wipe that we've seen in this game? I believe that was.
It might have been, well, I'm not sure if it was a wipe. It might have just been a reset, but could have been a wipe. I guess it wasn't paying enough attention in that situation. But yeah, both of these runners playing extremely well. No, unforced errors or anything like that from either one of them.
Yeah, really high level play, and we're glad to have you with us to enjoy this. Do want to thank our restreamer Smapety and our tracker Jay Brunter for helping us enjoy this, as well as Wewbear is putting Valvalis in the microwave. Got to dry that hair somehow.
And of course, shout outs to both of these runners, Klopfer and Wewbear, doing a fantastic job. As I mentioned, no unforced error that I've noticed thus far. Masterful play from both of them, as I would expect from both of them who made brackets and Adamant Cup, losing only to eventual champion Possum Morpheus. So, like, if you haven't been watching them, if you haven't given them a follow, they're both very entertaining runners, and I would highly recommend it.
It's a silver apple from Valvalis, which makes her the worst house on Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, well, could be worse. Could be candy corn.
I don't like candy corn, actually.
I hate candy corn. I wouldn't egg the house that gave it to me when I was a kid, but I wouldn't be happy. That's a mom bomb. We don't want a mom bomb.
That is ugly. And Klopfer very content to just let that go.
What was your worst Halloween experience? Like, what would you not want to get when you knocked out a house? Was it really apples, or was there something even worse than that?
Well, I mean, apples. I actually like apples, but it's just not candy. Maybe Bit-O honey. Good and Plenty is disgusting. Those are the worst. Or there was one house that gave quarters, like one single quarter.
I mean, back in the 80s, that wouldn't be too bad, I guess. But nowadays, with inflation and all that, I wouldn't be too happy with that.
Yeah, seriously. And you can't eat quarters. I tried.
Yeah, me too. The pennies didn't work out. I mean, they eventually came out, but still, it's not something you normally want to put into your mouth.
And Wyvern, meanwhile, is experiencing the worst Halloween treat of all, and that's nukes right back in your face.
And will it be a trick or a treat from Wyvern today? It's somewhere in between.
Yeah.
There's an Edward in the sea. Do we want to go pick him up?
And it's a key item, but the grind is already done.
Yeah, not exactly what we're looking for here. Wewbear is probably feeling a little behind after whomping on both of these Feymarsh checks. Klopfer, meanwhile, checked that Murasame altar. I did not see the boss, but it's not something we needed, so he reset right out. And he seems to be committed right now to trying to get to 10 key items before he does any kind of grind. If he even does a grind, he may not be thinking about pushing Rydia and Palom to nuke. He may just be focused entirely on the Zerker strategy. And, well, I'm a huge lover of Zerkers. They're a little disadvantaged in this flag set, but if Klopfer can make it work, I am here for it.
That was a Dark Elf in the Murasame altar, as our tracker Jay Brunter pointing out as well. So, he can change, but we're not really interested in watching that.
Yeah, if you're going to change, you shouldn't do it in front of other people. It's just not civil.
Just rude.
Yeah. Wewbear is heading up the keyless tower. Remembering a third up there is going to be rewarded with boss number 3 as well as a Baron key. And I would not be surprised if he chases that shortly afterwards, and he'll be rewarded with his 4th boss at the Odin at the Baron Liberation Throne.
Yeah, the Baron key up at the top of Keyless Tower, it's almost like a magnet drawing you toward Baron Castle. You're kind of compelled to get there.
Meanwhile, Klopfer is clearing out this moon. I like the play because he did hit on the Rex banner. He got his 5th boss. The chances of finding 2 bosses up here relatively high, and there's one of them with our Maga Sisters at Ribbon Room. Time for a sister grind. Although this is a relatively rough spot with the level that we currently have.
Yeah, they're going to be fast here. There's a ton of HP. This will be rough, and they're going quick too.
Yeah, the good news is we are anchored here, and if we get a couple boxes up, they're going to do a great job of buffering that Palom. He'll definitely get a Quake off for each round that the Maga Sisters take. But the problem is, they still hit relatively hard. That Tella is vulnerable to being killed in a single spell, as is that Palom. Taking a reset here too.
Yeah. And we'll see if Klopfer adjusts a little bit. Or if he decides to try and take on the White Spear Altar first and get a little more XP.
Looks like he is just adjusting his equipment here. I like it. You got that Sork Robe. You walked it out of Odin Throne. You may as well use it. Throwing that full moon on Edge as well. Back row glitches off, but you can still hit the back row with a full moon in your primary hand. So that way Edge won't be wasting his turns attacking Sandy or Cindy here, who I believe both are in the back row in this situation.
That's true. And the full moon, it's mostly useful as a long-range weapon, but it's not it's not a shrinking violet when it comes to attack power. Like, it can do some damage.
It can. I believe a full moon is pretty equivalent to the damage of, say, a longsword, which is what Klopfer unequipped in order to equip that full moon. So not too bad. Overall damage of Edge should, for the most part, go up, at least when he attacks Mindy in the back, and shouldn't change too much with, Sandy in the back, and shouldn't change too much with Cindy and Mindy in the front rows.
Takes a heavy hit.
Kane, however, not doing a whole lot for this party right now. This is pretty much the Palom show. Cast Quake and hope to get through it.
Yeah, what do you think of Kane's situation on Klopfer's side? Haven't found much better for Kane than that Gungnir Spear, which isn't really going to get it done.
Kane is probably the least valuable member of this team right now, unfortunately. I love Kane. Kane's Mr. Average. Many people call him patently average, but he is a valuable member of most parties, I find. But just right now, even that Rydia is more valuable, providing anchoring services. But Klopfer's in danger. He's got two players zerked up right now, uncontrollable. That is a 1 HP Edge, Magic Pixel, very, very entertaining. Virus comes out, takes out the Edge. The only character we have control over right now is that Palom, who is too busy channeling Quakes. And we're in danger because unless this kills Mindy, and it does, we have a chance to get through this still, but Cindy's going to be smacking people around pretty hard for the time being, and we have a very limited time before she revives her two sisters.
Yeah, and Cindy hitting hard still, and those sisters got revived, and yeah, Klopfer's in a world of trouble.
Edge immediately going down. Palom is not long for this world, I'm afraid. Should take a punch to the face. Oh, had a blink up, so we're just going straight for the Quake, but I'm afraid it ends here, my friend.
Klopfer goes down to the Maga Sisters. The adjustments, not quite enough. Gonna give it another shot. First, White Spear Altar.
Imagine if we find an Antlion or a Golbez here. This would be go mode for the most part. And there are the Golbez. Go mode right here on the moon. Klopfer has done exactly what he needs to do. He hit that Rex banner. I think right now he maybe he's going to take that Golbez, which is interesting. I would still be very tempted to exit right now, go do my D machine, come up, take on these two bosses with nukes in tow, because you don't have a pass. You don't need a pass. Your bosses are down here. You can swag walk immediately after this.
Do you think after the Maga Sisters fight that Klopfer feels a little bit behind, and that's why he wants to take on these bosses now?
Possibly. I would definitely feel slightly behind right now, but despite whether I feel behind or not, let's say that I'm able to take out the Maga Sister. Then let's say I'm able to take out the Golbez, which the Golbez right here is not a threat. Has extremely low magic power in this situation, but also doesn't give a whole lot of XP. You'll get like 20, 25k total for it. But let's say you're able to take out both of these bosses. You get your crystal. Now what? You don't have really the levels to get through Z. You could try to do 1200 HP strats with Kane and Edge, but I wouldn't recommend it. So what are you doing? Like, you're probably going to have to get a grind done at some point. you may as well do it earlier rather than later, in my opinion.
Klopfer is going to sit through Golbez's comedy routine, which, you could tell he's a really successful comedian because he's killing.
Yeah, he's got a very captive audience right now. Palom goes down. Rydia goes down. Thank you for killing Rydia, by the way. King goes down. This isn't too bad. I think, however, Klopfer is about to realize Golbez not too much of a threat here. There's 2 spots on the moon where pretty much he has no magic power. That would be Crystal Sword Altar and here the White Spear Altar. Because due to some interesting programming, this is normally a high magic spot, but Shadow gets the majority of the magic power and then leaves with it. So Golbez, these viruses will probably do about 150, 200 damage, 300 damage.
Yeah, not an issue. And should find that he has enough time to start getting some of his party members up and start wailing away on this Golbez.
Sadly for Klopfer's Palom, does not yet have Fire 3, so Golbez weak to Fire and Holy has neither of those really available, just going to have to channel a Fire 2 instead.
And is going to make Edge a little less piggy in order to get that Edge swinging for full power.
Edge, you lost weight. How did that happen?
Edge, you look much less delicious, I'm sorry to say. Wewbear taking on the Baron throne in between, or the basement throne in between the Karate Man and the regular throne, which is occupied by Odin. So does take care of that, disappointed in that key item, but will not be disappointed in encountering Odin.
Not at all. So this will be boss number 4 for Wewbear. The big question now is, does he do the Rex banner? Does he go check that Zot 1 check? Because if he doesn't, Klopfer still has a bit of a lead in my mind. Klopfer will be in go mode after these 2 bosses. Wewbear will not, unless, say our Antlion is waiting at Masamune or Crystal Sword Altar. The moon may not have all the answers for Wewbear, but they do have all the answers for Klopfer.
Yes, so D-Lunars, in case you just joined us, are at the first spot in Zot. The Antline's still unaccounted for. And it could be that this is a vanilla seed and Antlion is just hanging out at the Crystal Sword Altar. But we don't know that for sure.
And Klopfer is through that Golbez at the White Spear Altar, is rewarded with a power shirt, which I like. Klopfer may have been more interested in a key item though, because he's that close to 10 prior to his grind. But the power shirt, definitely a value. Goes on that Edge, makes him a bit more powerful than he currently is. I say it's about like 3 times as potent as, say, a black belt.
Very nice. Not quite unlimited power, but pretty close.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this. Wewbear taking a chocobo.
To where, I wonder? We don't have a twin harp. Is he going to go check the Rex?
Got one. He's doing it.
That's big. So that is going to lead to Klopfer's advantage evaporating in front of our own eyes. Assuming that Klopfer can get through this 3rd iteration of the Maga Sisters, he's still on a clock. Wewbear will likely head down to the moon sooner rather than later. I would say immediately after this. And we'll find these 2 fights and shouldn't have too much problem with them. And in that time, Klopfer is going to have to find a way to get through Z.
The Maga Sisters 3. Klopfer gets a little bit of luck with that opening target against Rydia. Really convenient.
Yep, we do have a wall come out and reflect onto Palom, so he is no longer blinkable, but with Lit 2, down goes Tella. A little worrisome right now because we would like to be casting Quake on that Palom, and we continue to do so, but now we've lost our sustain. So any further losses we take on this party is going to pretty much lead to, or pretty much be permanent for the time being.
Yeah, the issue with Klopfer's levels and this fight at this location is there's just no margin for error. You need a lot of things to go right.
Yep, and the Maga Sisters are not cooperating tonight.
Even chucking a drain spear at them and not making a dent, it appears.
Out comes the virus, which is the most powerful spell that Mindy will cast, and down goes Kane. It's not looking good for the home team right now. And Wewbear is done with those D-Lunars. That is boss number 5 for him. And I would expect him to head to the moon shortly after. So while Klopfer had a very good lead going into this, that may have just evaporated in front of our own eyes.
Yeah, that's the power of the grind, where Wewbear is taking these fights at a much faster clip. Was 3 bosses behind, now just 1 boss behind, and is likely to catch up very shortly.
And looks like, I don't know if Edge survives this Ice 2 coming up. He does, but it'd be very difficult for him to get through this fight unless this kills Cindy. It does not, I'm afraid.
No, that ninja star that he got from a trap chest in Eblin, it would have been a happy ending if that had made the difference, but it could not do it this time.
And that's an interesting situation I never really thought about, but if you take a black chocobo to that, and you go up to that and come back down, you actually get your Enterprise back, which is kind of neat.
That is neat. Yeah, you got to find a way to get back down from the tower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is very unfortunate for Klopfer. 4th attempt on the Maga Sisters. He knows Go Mode is behind this. He really wants that crystal. Additionally, there's 2 key item checks up here in this ribbon room. That could be his 10th key item and really shorten his grind. But these Maga Sisters are just not cooperating.
Yeah, and Klopfer maybe a little bit on tilt, knowing that the crystal is so close. Maybe did adjust the battle speed down to battle speed 3, which will slow the sisters down. We'll see if that makes enough of a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Tella is down, and that is your source of blink, which you need to keep that Palom up.
I noticed that Rydia's been going down in previous attempts, but I think one potential strategy for Klopfer here would be just focus entirely on keeping your entire party up, even if they only have 30 HP, 15 HP, because they still represent targets, decoys, that Palom doesn't get hit while he channels nuke, or so that Kane and Edge don't get killed on the way. Like Rydia just there, probably just took a bullet for the President, probably just took a bullet for Palom, who will survive to cast his Quake and help get through this fight much more speedily.
Meanwhile, that Kane is trying to help.
Helped enough to take down that Mindy. That is the most dangerous entity, the most dangerous sister available out there, because those spells have been hitting for 3 to 800 damage, which is very deadly. The attacks, I think, are a little less dangerous.
Yeah, those spells have been doing a lot of work, but Mindy will be back soon enough if Cindy doesn't go down.
Now, I know I joked about it when we first saw the Maga Sister Cindy down, so good on Klopfer. He's going to get through this fight, but he's also going to get about 100k XP here, which is okay. Could have gotten more if he did a sister grind, but I'm glad he got through. That's his crystal in hand, our first player in Go Mode tonight, right down here close to Z. But I question his level and whether he's ready to take on Z right this moment.
Yeah, we'll have to see how he feels, but that shows you just how powerful turning that battle speed down can be. The sisters got many fewer turns.
Absolutely. And that is a 10th key item. That's an Earth Crystal. if we want to. We have 8 sirens. We could do some double gold dragons, get some power. And depending on how quickly Wewbear gets through his fights here, Klopfer could be the first one into Zemus.
Yeah, this is going to be close. Wewbear heading in the right direction. I believe saw that Dark Elf in the Murasame spot and exited out. Not going to be tempted by the Crystal Sword altar. Wewbear heading right to where he needs to be.
Mm-hmm. No Demarine Gambit today. Do we have hourglasses? We have 3 of them. So with 10 key items in hand and an hourglass and a life glitch, that's 180,000 XP times 3 for 3 fights. That is a lot of XP. It's hard to do math on stream, but I'm going to say it's about 540,000 XP. Not enough to get rid of, nuke, but we're not even trying that. It looks like we're going pure Berserk strats, Kane, Edge, and trying to keep them alive with a backup or support Tella, a support Palom. This strategy will work, but it will probably be a little slower than casting Quake or Nuke twice with these 2 casters that Wewbear has.
That life glitch off just a little bit early. Do want you to notice what Rybon did there. He said, don't want to do math on stream, and then proceeded to do math on stream, and got it exactly right.
Better lucky than good.
Quick calculator action.
So a big chunk of XP from that fight. 80% more than what we got from those Maga Sisters down there in the ribbon room. The question is, does Klopfer do all 3 of these?
Well, he's on number 2. Meanwhile, you can see the effect that Wewbear's levels are having. And, we got a car wash sighting. Leviathan.
Great. The Maga Sisters are having a wet t-shirt contest tonight. Right now, the only stander remaining is Cindy. I guess that makes her the winner.
Yes, that's how you win those things.
Yeah. Although we dried her off with a nuke, and Cindy's down. Wewbear is through his Maga Sister fight, first time through. Rydia proving that she's a valued member of the team, much to the love of JMac in chat. And Wewbear will probably be very happy to find that gold badge right next door, because he's at 6 bosses right now, about to be in go mode along with Klopfer.
Yeah, Wewbear is in full face check mode, and this face is going to be one that he's going to appreciate seeing.
It is a relatively longer fight, though, as we saw with Klopfer. A lot of it is just, cutscene, waiting for Golbez to do a thing. Should be no problem for Wewbear, though. Probably doesn't even need to throw up a Star Veil or anything like that. So it comes down to who's going to get into that Zemus fight first. This is our last Hourglass 2 for Klopfer, so this may just be it.
Yeah, and Klopfer's levels leave him much more susceptible to high rolls on a big bang. But it's a doable Z fight.
Looking at that HP level on Palom, there is a decent shot that we do get to nuke on Palom. Especially with its double life glitch on Klopfer's side. Well done, well timed. This is going to be 240,000 XP. I definitely think this gets Palom to nuke, and we'll be doing hybrid strats on Klopfer's side with a very angry Kane and Edge and a Palom slinging nuclear power. But will that be enough to take the advantage off of Wewbear? We'll probably be doing pure reflect strats and really only need to cast about, 6 or 7 nukes in order to get through this fight. It's still anyone's game.
It really is. I hope you were in the market for a really exciting Red Moon match, because we have it here. This is so close between 2 super talented runners. Klopfer going to make that safety save and then head straight down to Z.
Yep, that is a level 52 Palom. He's got nuke. He's ready to go. This Golbez still not down yet. Life staff going on Tella. I'm not sure if we have much else. Sure, have a black belt. Maybe can hit some stuff. It's cool. But we're going to see what's better, hybrid strats or reflect strats. both of these players probably entering Zeromus fight within like 30 seconds of each other. Klopfer is going to be first.
Yep, Klopfer is going to make it down maybe 30, 45 seconds before Wewbear. Wewbear maybe not even going to save.
Maybe not. I mean, Wewbear, the very talented runner, not just at this randomizer, but many other randomizers, looks like he will save, but I don't expect him to have any trouble whatsoever with this reflex strategy that he's going to approach with. Klopfer, also equally talented, is going to be going with his hybrid strat, which will deal with the whole 100,000 plus HP that Zeromus has. Wewbear only has to do about 61,000 in order to get through this fight, so that 30-40 second advantage that Klopfer has may not be enough to pull ahead, but we're about to find out. And oh, hey, we got some D flags in the chat. I've been waiting for this. What does that mean?
They're great to see. They're great to Z, even.
Z.
I
agree.
We can't move Zeromus from here. Zeromus just is on that couch and it's just not getting off. But we can give Zeromus a makeover. So every seed, we give Zeromus one of 570 or so random sprites from the wide world of sprites. And so we have to ask, whose butt are we kicking to the moon? In the red moon. Something.
And is it cute? And all the auxiliary questions, but this game is too close. I don't have time for those questions. Klopfer throws the crystal, and we're going to see who we're fighting tonight.
Phase change at 134.35. Oh!
I've never watched this movie, but I heard it's pretty bad.
So have I. I've not seen it either. Yeah, all I know is the memes.
So we have our Bacchus coming out. We're going full hybrid strat with Klopfer. That edge doing pretty good damage with that power shirt. About 4k a swing. That is nothing to sniff at. Looks like Wewbear is going to get his phase change around 135.15, so about 30 seconds behind on this Z fight.
40 seconds precisely.
135.20 phase change. Here we go.
It is on.
There's the first big bang on Klopfer's side. I believe it got nerfed. It did get nerfed, so we are good to go here. With the amount of damage coming out, Kane doing about 2k, Edge doing 3 to 4k a swing, and Palom was supplementing with nukes, we're definitely going to pass the refill, so we should only see one more big bang remaining on Klopfer's side that he'll probably nerf. But for Wewbear's side, with 2 nuke casters, we should only see one big bang entirely. These nukes are doing high damage on Wewbear's side, 7-8k damage, nerfy with a silk web. Generally a good choice here because Natella did gain a few levels, may get Palom and Iridia, or at least secure them to RA1. Counter nuke hits Kane, 2,000 additional damage. That's just icing on the cake for the most part. Second shake coming out on Klopfer's side, which is great, but it's probably a fake shake. Probably don't actually need to nerf this one.
I don't like the way he's looking at me. I just don't like it.
He looks pretty smug.
Wewbear is pumping out huge amounts of damage, and skipping that refill is going to be so big. Is that going to swallow up Klopfer's advantage?
I think for the most part, it's generally agreed that reflex strats are faster than any other strat out there. But still, Klopfer had that 40-45 second advantage going into this fight. This shake is number 3 right here on Klopfer's side. This one is not fake. We are not doing enough damage in order to skip this shake. So it's very likely that we try to nerf this one on Klopfer's side. Looks like we are skipping the nerf. So just casting that nuke, and we're just going to let oh no, we are nerfing with nuke. That's great. We'll see where this counter nuke goes. Straight onto Kane. That's not the optimal target, but it'll work.
Yeah, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. Big Bang comes out. Kane should still have enough to survive it.
Yep, it is nerfed. We have a second shake over there on Wewbear's side with nukes coming out. This Big Bang, I don't believe was nerfed. This is extremely dangerous. Rydia, Palom, all very vulnerable right now. And one goes down. Rydia's still alive. I think we're going for the direct nuke in order to try to finish it. This is kind of a YOLO. But with the amount of nukes that have fired, this should be enough.
Is he counting correctly? He is. Wewbear wins with a time of 1:37:47 and advances in the Red Moon waxing bracket. What a race. GG's.
Heck of a race by Wewbear. Just pulling it through. Rydia decided to survive, and we are joined by the one, the only Wewbear. Congratulations.
Whoa, thank you.
What a race. You and Klopfer were neck and neck throughout the entire time, especially considering how different your routes ended up being. How did you feel about your seed?
Yeah, we were talking about that in the race room afterwards. It was pretty interesting. Definitely excited to watch this one back to see like what kind of routing divergence. Apparently, Mazamoons can be in Waterfall. If I found that, I probably would have went Zerk strats as well. But yeah, after not seeing the white mage, I was like, I guess double nuke is fair. Yeah, I figured I was losing that after I did Fey March and got nothing. So very happy to get the win, barely.
Well, one of the big plays for you was checking that Zot 1 boss without the Earth Crystal and finding those D-Lunars. What led you to go up there?
I wanted to clear as much as the overworld so I could like potentially, because I didn't have pass, right? So I could potentially spike go mode on Moon, which turns out to be the case. So it was cool. But it's not a bad play. Like it only takes like a minute or so to check it. And there's a lot of other checks that take a minute to look at the boss anyway, so that one doesn't have a key item attached to it, so it's why not?
And that early darkness crystal really set the course for for your grind and for the rest of the seed. Did when you had that pan available, was that your thought to turn in as many key item checks as you possibly could?
Yeah, I was looking for something to like just anything that gated bosses, and after taking pan and I checked a couple shops, I didn't see sirens. I'm like, you know what, D-Machine it is, because at that point I only spotted 2 bosses, like Ashura at the top of tower, and we had Gauntlet. So I'm like, okay, there's a decent chance that something's on Giant, possibly, so I can do a D-Machine, walk in the Giant, clear that out. Turns out that wasn't the case. So yeah, it was a thing.
So, question for you, Wewbear. I noticed there's a little bit of a difference between you and Klopfer, that you elected to keep that Rydia early game through the hook route and let her get levels. Why did you want to bring Rydia along rather than, say, maybe like one of the other characters available?
Well, there was no white mage, so I was thinking maybe worst case you could possibly need Shura healer for Z. I probably should have just kept her dead and slingshot her, but it's fine. I figured I was getting a lot of D machines done anyway, so it actually worked out perfectly. She was like one fight away from nuke, and I did the next fight, and it was easy, and I got nuke. So, yeah, I was thinking she might be a worst case scenario white mage with Ashura, which I never found or got in dwarf. So,
another question for you: were you ever interested in checking that package while you were, checking as many checks as you could on that overworld?
I was, yeah. When I was in Baron, I was looking at it just sitting in my inventory. I'm like, do I? And yeah, ultimately decided not to, because at that point, if Zot turned out to be nothing, I probably would have. But since I spiked Zot, I was only 2 bosses away, and I was thinking, okay, Moon has 6 bosses, pretty decent chance. Go down there, hit go mode. But yeah, I was really eyeballing it when I was sitting in Baron.
Well, at least full disclosure, according to Dekar Smash in chat, your 8th boss was waiting at that package. Antline was apparently there.
Yeah, that makes sense. That tracks. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't have to kill moon bosses to get key items, because I always hate that. Yeah, weird seed. Like I had like no key items getting underground outside of like darkness and pan. It was like, what do I do? That's also why I did Fame Arch. It was probably the wrong decision, but I was thinking like, okay, 3 scenarios. I kill things on Moon to get key items. I kill Fame Arch to get key items, and I was already down there anyways. Or multiple things are behind Ashura at top of tower, and yeah, it turns out the third option was the one.
So with this victory, you move on to the round of 16. You'll be playing the winner of Coffee and Chocobos and Judge Joe, who hasn't played yet. How are you feeling about that particular matchup? Anything you're going to do to prepare for it, or just keep on winging it?
No, I definitely just wing it. Practicing's for suckers.
Yeah, tell me about it.
No, they're both very, very, very good. So I don't know. I just got too many games going on, so it's hard to practice. But yeah, I'll do what I can.
Well, you know, sometimes the best way to practice is to actually do the things. So,
turns out, yeah.
Well, congratulations on the victory, and GG's, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you. GG's.
And we'll hope to be joined by Klopfer, and we are joined by Klopfer, who finished in a really impressive time of 1:38.21. GG's, Klopfer.
Hey, thanks, GG's.
So, what my first question, I guess, is, were you waiting to grind, or were you fully committed to a moon boss grind once you got up to 8 key items?
So I really did want to hit 10 key items before I did any grind, and so I went to the moon just figuring I'd see what I could find up there, and basically hoping either for some easy bosses to take on to maybe get me those 10 key items before I had to take on anything too challenging. But given once I got to the bottom, I found both my Maga Sisters and my Golbez. At that point, I just wanted to go, well, if I can kill the 2 of them, I will definitely get 10 key items. Well, very likely, with the crystal being 1 key item I'll be given, and the 3 key item checks I'll get here. I really want to just push through there, get to those 10 key items and do the grind. And so that's why I just kept kind of bashing my head there against the Maga Sisters. Given different fights down there, if they weren't my objectives, I probably just were easier fights, I probably would have been happy just go ahead and take them for the key items, do a grind, and then go looking for my bosses. It just turned out my objectives were there, so routing according to that.
What did you think of the party that you were handed? It was a very interesting party with no true white mage.
Yeah, I was definitely... That was going through my mind at many times, pretty much the entirety of the seed of once I'd seen the entire party of, okay, what am I going to do about this lack of a white mage? And so I was pretty sure I was wanting to just get to very high power levels to be able to handle that Zeromus fight without having without having a dedicated white mage. So I had left behind that Rydia as potentially being a slingshot. If I could especially have gotten either the Darkness Crystal earlier or to 10 key items to make that slingshot really fast, I would have gone back and picked up Rydia to get her to nuke, and then have Palom catch up to nuke as I finish the seed, and then just do reflect strats going in. As I got the Darkness Crystal and was sitting there at 10 key items and hadn't really figured out a better anchor situation, I decided to give up on those reflect strats, go ahead and pick up my Rydia to be my new anchor, as I had not found a curse ring, and I unfortunately let Sid gain just too many levels there. And figured, well, we can likely just gain enough levels that with this reasonably well-equipped Edge and an okay-equipped Kayn, we can get through this. We'll just have to nerf our 1 big bang, we'll see, especially if we can get to nuke, and we'll get through, which is exactly how the Zeromus fight played out. It was just, unfortunately, not sufficient power on the boss fights before that.
So I have 2 comments and 1 question to go with. First of all, hats off to you for getting through that very difficult Maga Sister fight with the low power team you had, because I don't think very many people in the community at all could have handled a situation like that. And you were very you had a lot of perseverance to get through it because you knew it was your go mode, and I was just very impressed to watch you get through that fight. Secondly, hats off to you again for going Berserkers and committing to Berserkers in this flag set, because for the most part, it's weighted a little bit against Berserkers, but I always love and cheer for anybody who can actually pull off Berserkers, and you were very close to the victory against a Mage team, so very happy to watch that. You did go up to Zot a little early, and I was just wondering, what pushed you up there? Were you looking for a 5th boss before you dived that moon?
That's exactly it. Without having the pass in hand, I was definitely thinking, if I can get one more boss before I go out to the moon, decent chance I can enter go mode while I'm there and then just walk on down. So I really wanted to go. So I checked Giant first, because if I found them up there, that's also some experience, which I was sorely lacking at that point. With that missing, I went over to Zot, found the boss. If I hadn't found that, I still had that package from the beginning of the game. I was planning to go turn that in, really just trying to hit one more boss before going to the moon.
Mm-hmm. So unfortunately, with this loss, you fall down to the waning bracket, but you'll be playing the person who falls short in the Coffee and Chocobos and Judge Joe race coming up. Is there anything you plan on doing to prepare for that particular game, or is there anyone that you're... how concerned are you about that particular match?
Oh, I'm concerned literally about every match in this bracket. All the players here are super good, so anyone who I'm facing up to, I'm concerned and be practicing hard. I mean, I definitely will watch that match, see what comes out of that, see how both the runners go through these seeds, and maybe that will impact my run once I get into the race against whoever that ends up being. But for the most part, I'm usually pretty happy with how I'm going through these seeds, so I'll probably not change too much my strategy. Whoever I come up against, I'll just see what the seed gives me and go from there. Deviate towards risky strategies if I take early wipes and feel behind, but otherwise just play through the seed.
Yeah, the Red Moon bracket is stacked, but that quadrant especially, a good night.
It is terrifying, I agree.
There is no rest for the wicked and no rest for you. Not that you're wicked or anything like that, but yeah, no one has an easy route in Red Moon or Blue Moon for that matter. But yeah, best of luck, I believe, next week when you have that match coming up.
Definitely, thanks.
GG's again.
Jeez, and just always remember the Delta attack, very powerful strategy. Walk out for that, and you know what? When you could sell everything to buy a rune axe and you have Maga Sisters on your boss list, yeah, maybe do it. Otherwise,
at the top of the tower.
But otherwise, big thanks to the entire team here for putting this on, and for everyone watching it tonight, and of course the admin team doing all the work behind the scenes, put on 2 great tournaments right now. So big thanks just everyone for doing this.
And thank you, Klopfer, for GG's.
Yeah,
and do want to thank
an amazing show.
Do want to thank, speaking of a real good show, I do want to thank our restreamer one more time, Smapety, for putting on the wonderful show. Our first time tracker, you wouldn't know it just from the results. Jay Brunter doing a terrific job keeping track of things. And thank you, Rybon. It was so much fun commentating with you, and what a fun match and what a fun tournament this is shaping up to be so far.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure, Sheep Launcher. Love doing this with you and love doing this with this team. And yeah, this tournament had been fire this entire time. And I'm expecting a lot more fire tomorrow when the tournament continues.
Yeah, so we might as well plug some matches tomorrow before we sign off. Hey, somebody named Sheep Launcher is going to be running at 11 a.m. Eastern against Dathis. Ugh. I guess that's gonna be ugly. On Free Enterprise at 11 a.m. Eastern, and at 3 p.m. Eastern, Nitzy versus a Flossifern on Free Enterprise 2. Then back on regular Free Enterprise, it's Warlink 05 versus Gambit 017. And at 8 p.m. Eastern on Free Enterprise 2, Raging Levine versus Professor Renderer. And at 11 p.m. Eastern, you've got more than 12 hours free enterprise action tomorrow at 11 p.m. Eastern. Dakar Smash versus Peasants OMFG. It is a full Saturday of free enterprise action, and we can't wait for you to join us.
Yeah, I hope you weren't planning on doing anything else tomorrow, because your eyes should be glued to Free Enterprise 1 and Free Enterprise 2 pretty much from morning to night and well past night. But we're not done with Free Enterprise just yet. We have great games to watch tomorrow, but we have more Free Enterprise to watch tonight. I believe we are heading on over to the Midwest Speed Fest, where we have 2 community members, Moonblaze Wolf and Cubs Rule, in person at the festival, racing a modified ladder standard seed. And I believe that race is not yet complete, so we can hit the tail end of it.
Let's head over there, and remember not to spoil this race for all the fine folks over at Midwest Speedfest. But until next time, so long.
Bye.